No recipe required. I'm Dave, your host, your chef, your do-it-all. Except hold the camera. I got a tripod for that. What I'm going to do tonight, I'm really excited because I'm starting off my kind of first in a series of kids videos or kids cooking, healthy kids cooking. We'll figure it out as we go. For those who don't know, I've got three absolutely beautiful little daughters, the loves of my life, and I'm starting to cook for them more and trying to get them into cooking, helping me cook, excited about food, and of course, trying to make it healthy. So we're going to start off the series with actually a version of tacos. Now, I'm not going off the wall and doing just, veggie tacos or beans. All that is great and wonderful. Not really my style. I'm more about making, foods we're all familiar with, just a little bit healthier so you feel a little bit better serving it to your family. These tacos are going to be packed with vegetables. We're going to use some ground turkey and ground beef to kind of cut down on the calories from the meat itself. And then I work in as many kind of vegetables as I can. Kids don't even know it. They absolutely love it. So give it a try. Let me know what you think, and make sure to subscribe because I'm going to be putting new ones out whenever I can. Thanks, and let's get to it. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started on our kid-friendly and parent-approved taco meat. For meat, I'm going to use ground beef, and I'm going to use some ground turkey. I got about 2/3 ground beef and about 1/3 turkey right into the pan. We're going to brown all of this meat. Now remember, my ground beef here, still, it's not bad for you at all. This is the 97% lean, 3% fat, which really doesn't have all that many calories. And then we're using a little bit of turkey to make it even healthier, less fatty, whatever you want to call it. You could certainly do this with all turkey if you really wanted to, or ground chicken. I'm just going to let this go, let it all kind of brown, stirring every 3 or 4 minutes. Just a quick stir to make sure it's not like cooking in one big clump. While this is happening, I'm going to go ahead and chop all the veggies that are going to go into this meat. Okay, so our ground beef is now cooked off. I'm going to go ahead, remove the meat from the pan. I'm going to drain the fat. Put the lid on, easiest way I think. Leave a little bit of space there, and then just bring it over to the sink. Dump it right out. Then we're going to take that meat out. We're going to add our vegetables to our pot. Okay, so we just pulled out our ground beef and ground turkey. It's right over there. You don't have to worry about getting every single bit of meat out of the dish. Now, here's why I feel good about feeding this to my kids. What I've got an onion, kind of obvious, but I've also got some green pepper. I'm using a pasilla pepper, but you can use a bell pepper. I got a red bell pepper. And I got a couple really nice carrots that I just shredded up finely. I'm going to add all those vegetables into my pan with a little bit of olive oil on the bottom. Give them a quick stir and a good healthy pinch of salt. And I'm just going to let these veggies kind of cook down, wilt, get nice and soft. You don't really need to brown them. Those carrots are really just going to kind of melt into it. The kids won't even know it's there. And after these are sweated down, we're going to come back and add even more veggies. All right, our veggies now have sweated out. That was like 3 or 4 giant cloves of garlic. You can use kind of as much garlic as you want. I like a good amount in here. Then we're going to add our spices. I've got cumin, chili powder, and oregano in there, and I add them now just so they toast for literally 30 seconds or so. Helps bring out the flavors. You can, I'm making this for kids, so I'm not going to go too spicy. None of those spices were particularly spicy, but you can always add cayenne pepper, chili flakes, anything you want in here, if you want it a little bit hotter. Now, to this, before we add the tomatoes, I'm going to add about 4 tablespoons of tomato paste. Let's get that whole thing in there, and I'm going to let the tomato paste cook in the bottom of that. We'll go with maybe a little bit more tomato paste. Another nice little healthy veggie. I'm just going to let that cook for, about a minute or so. Go ahead and do it a little bit longer when you're doing it at home. And by cooking that tomato paste, you kind of, you enrichen, I'll say, the flavor a little bit. Now I'm going to add a full can of diced tomatoes. And same kind of thing. I'm just going to let this kind of cook down in that in the pan with those other vegetables. Again, we're kind of letting everything come together. And a lot of these veggies are just kind of melt away. So that's why I love feeding this with the kids. They're not going to like pick out a big chunk of tomato or carrot or anything like that and say, ugh, and give you a big grief session all over it. So after, I'd let this go for 4 or 5 more minutes. Then we're going to add our meat back to the pot. And we're just going to stir everything together. Now, remember we hadn't added any of that, we hadn't added any salt to the meat yet. So once I get this in there, we'll add it right now. We got to season the meat as well with some salt and with a good amount of fresh ground black pepper. And then this is where I'm going to just turn the heat all the way down once I got it fully mixed to low and just kind of let it simmer away. I'm going to put the cover on it. I'm going to let all those flavors infuse and become nice and mingled. And at the end, we're going to come back. We're going to add a couple more ingredients, a little bit of herbs. I've got some fresh corn that we'll put in there as well. And we'll check our final seasoning as well. Okay, so I've let our taco meat just simmer away, low heat for about an hour and a half now. You can go, like an hour is good. You can go up to like 2 hours or so. Now, all the kind of base flavors that we're going to get in this taco meat are now there. You can see the vegetables. You can't even see any carrots in there at all. They're mostly just all kind of wilted in there. Great, wonderful flavor. But what we're going to do now in the last 15 minutes is add just a couple more layers. I've got some corn here, raw corn, that I just cut right off the cob. You could use frozen corn, but I don't know that I would. You might just skip it if you can only get frozen. It'll tend to kind of mush up on you and actually like the bit of the crunch on the corn. And then I'm also going to add about 1/4 cup of jarred salsa. And that, again, it's just kind of a lighter, fresher flavor that we're adding at the end. It's not going to cook very long. We've only got about 15 minutes or so left on the taco meat. And that's going to give it another kind of flavor, note, a bit of complexity in there. We're just going to stir all that in there. I'm going to let it cook for another 10-15 minutes. If you find that your meat is wet, if you go like that and you see a bunch of moisture in the bottom, leave it uncovered, and that will help dry it out a little bit. Or if it's frankly too dry, you can always just add a little bit of water. Mine looks just about right, so I'm going to go ahead and cover it to keep it at about the same consistency. And we'll come back in 15 minutes. I think my kids will be here. We'll see how they like it. Okay, so we've got our taco shells here. They make these little tiny ones. Now my kids are still a little bit small for handling shells, so what I do is essentially just break it up, feed it to them, or serve it to them, I should say. That's kind of little taco platforms, which they can handle. We'll spoon a little bit of that meat on there that is packed with our veggies. And obviously if they like salsa or sour cream or anything like that, you can add whatever you'd like. I'm going to throw a little bit of shredded cheese on there because they dig it. And I find too, if you shred the cheese really finely like this, you don't need a whole lot to make it look like there's a whole lot. And so again, you're not giving them anything too unhealthy or bad. I'm going to do my other kids' plates and then let's go see if they like it. Kate, did you like the tacos? Did you eat them all?
Yeah.
What did they taste like?
Carrots.
Carrots were in there, right? Were there carrots in there?
Yeah.
Alright, so I hope you love this version of kid-friendly tacos. Frankly, they're adult-friendly too. I love them, my wife loves them, everybody I've served them to loves them. They're just a little bit lighter on calories because of the turkey instead of the ground beef or 100% ground beef that we're using, and all the veggies packed in there. I've got other taco recipes on the site for kids, for adults, for anybody. Go ahead and check them out. And if you're looking for a side dish, try this rice and beans. It's absolutely one of my favorites, really easy to make, and you can do it in no time flat. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.